Hello and welcome to Autocar Dialogues, a series of panel discussions where we talk to those people who have their hand on the pulse of the Indian consumer and the ear of the manufacturer. We're talking about dealer principals from across the country, and who better than them to discuss the automotive industry with us. Well, we have a very eminent panel with us today, and let me introduce you to them. We have with us Mr. Tushar Kumar from Silver Arrow in Delhi. We have Mr. Uday Kachalia from the Navneet Group in Mumbai. We have Mr. Shekhar Nagar from 36 Automobiles in Delhi. And we have Mr. Latif Hussain from Blue Hyundai in Bengaluru. Well, they don't have an easy job. You consumers are spoiled for choice. There are so many cars in the market, and it's their job to draw you into their showroom and retain you in the brand. And that's what we're here to discuss today. How hard is it for you all to retain customers in the brand, considering they're so spoiled for choice?
I'll first say that we're in the middle of a very transition phase where the profile of customers is going from millennials, and millennials being influenced by Gen Zs and Gen Zs themselves. So I think imagine one of them heavily influenced by their peers, and one of them says, I don't need to go to peers, I want to understand from online, from reviews, what do customers say. So it's a very difficult period. So I think it's understanding and profiling your customers who are walking in. And since a lot of them now browse online and inquire online, it's difficult because you're not seeing a face. And therefore, it's very important to collect the right data points and understand the age profile and what is the use. And that's the best way, if you ask me today, because they know most of the things that are known by them about the product. So it's about the value addition which you can provide to them at the dealership. So I think profiling and the right sales pitch is the key.
See, the very foundation of our business on the retail side is also based on retention and interaction over the life cycle journey. So it's not only about selling the car, but I think that is where the relationship starts the first time we sell the car, because then we need to take care of the car at service. Then at the end of the year, you need to renew the insurance. And finally, let's say multiply that into 3 times, car comes back, trade that in, and that is the time the real retention starts, right? So retention first step starts at service. So of course, very critical. And therefore, the very foundation of that experience, what I call customer experience over the life cycle, the real retention starts when the car is ready to be traded back in. Now, whether you have an exciting product at that time and how's the experience last 3 years, I think those are the very foundations we look at as a business.
Do you think in today's, Gen Z, millennials, as you said, they move very quickly. They move from product to product, brand to brand really quickly. Do you think brand loyalty exists even today?
So let's say the customer journey reaches 3rd year, 2nd year, 4th year. Now, do you have an exciting product? Have you created that desire for that particular customer to get re-excited again within the brand? So of course, brand loyalty exists. Now, in our case, for Mercedes-Benz, for Silver Arrows, 35 to 40% of cars are sold by existing customers. Forget themselves buying, but 35 to 40% loyalty comes back by way of reference selling within friends and family. So that's foundation number 1, right? That gets you repeat business. But in case of Mercedes-Benz, more than 75% of customers again come back to buy the brand again.
Yeah. Do you think that's a large part of it? Product to bring back customers again and again into the brand, exciting new products?
Actually, I feel that taking everything into consideration, it is not just the product; it's also the experience they've had with the existing product, which they've taken from a brand. For example, the 3-year service costs, maintenance costs, the reliability, durability, how many times the car went wrong. All these things combined will actually lead the customer to the brand again. Otherwise, he will be very fast in shifting his choices in terms of brand. Especially the youth today, I think most of us, 85% of the first touch point with the brand, for the car buyers actually starts online. So it works in 2 ways actually. The brand loyalty is actually, as per me, a 2-side thing. So one is a luxury. So in terms of luxury, like a Mercedes or a BMW or all these brands, you have a lot of options. But when it comes to a reliability and a durability factor, then it is not something you can achieve in like a 5-year period or 10-year period. It's like decades of impression and reputation. No company can invest unlimited money and suddenly, create, our cars are the most reliable cars. So like, we are talking about Toyota here. So it has an image, not only in India, across the world, any city in the world, that, if I'm buying a Toyota, forget about other things, at least it's durable and reliable. So that is one part which will always get you repeat customers. But that is something which has to be in the inbuilt DNA of the brand. It cannot just come, suddenly or, out of 5 years or 10 years,
But coming to you, you deal with Hyundai, and they're in very crowded segments. They're in segments where, there's a lot of pressure, mid-size SUVs, which is just about everybody in that segment. How hard is it to keep that customer? I mean, Creta is a great selling product and people really love it, but how hard is it to keep a once Creta customer doing the next Creta?
I think, yes, I think, of course, there are different model spreads. And as you said, one of the key points is that the touch points with customer at various stages of their, life cycle. And so I think when your sale is done right and they're happy with the product, they do come back to you. But I definitely agree that one of the biggest misses that we don't have today proper MIS systems and to collect the right data and understand how often is he coming to you, which is powered by either an AI or an ML to give you that output saying should you be selling and upselling this customer. Today, it's a lot of this is human dependent, and as an industry, I think we are also struggling to retain the right kind of people. So I think it needs to move to a predictive model fed by the right data, and that tool is what is going to help us to understand what you need to sell that customer.
I think, especially with this Gen Z and millennial generation, that's, again, I say quick moving. Once they bought something, they just want to try something new. So retaining them within a brand or within a model is not easy. It's
not easy at all.
Yeah. I think my generation, if I can say that, was someone who had got comfort factor. Oh, I bought this, works well, I'll buy another one. It's not like that anymore.
Yep.
I think people want to change things a lot quicker.
Now if you see the products coming in, they're not bad products, but who has survived or who has got success in this is, rather than bringing the product, they have the right set of dealers also. If you look at him, he's last 25-30 years with the same company. Okay, so along with the manufacturer, even dealers have played a vital role. They have created their own identity. Okay, so their data and if you look at, I think he might also be having a data bank of not less than 100,000 plus. So those things, help dealer.
Plus you're the trust factor
Yes.
between the manufacturer and the consumer. You
Yes.
guys are the trust factor
Yes.
that there is.
Yeah.
So when you talk about that loyalty and that trust, you all are what's building it.
Yeah.
So how do you maintain that? Because attrition, staff, it keeps moving. It's not easy.
So also, I like to add to what Sir said. So brand is one part of it. Dealer is one part. There's also a personal connect with our team. There's a service team. There's a sales team. Most of our salespeople, if a new car comes, they know who to message. And before anyone can get in touch with. So a person might end up buying the same brand, but from a different dealer also. So not only we have to retain the customer to our dealership and our brand, but there's also a personal touch at a team level with the customer, and the customer is so happy that even though there are certain features he might want in a car and he's not getting in our brand, still he'll go for our brand, looking at his last 3-4 years of experience.
Also, coming back to the point that within this whole ecosystem of consumers that again have so much choice, they have, and they have so much information now across the net. They come very well armed with every single point, every comparison point. So how hard is it to keep your staff well informed and ready for this consumer that knows everything?
You rightly said. In fact, a lot of consumers do fact checking. So they in fact ask questions not because they want to know, because they want to tell you that you're wrong, right? This is not what it is. And today this is the stage we have reached, right? So one of the things which we basically do is, of course, go down the absolute key points of the product, because there's so many products, especially for a mass brand like what we deal with. You have 10 products, we each having different variations, and what are the permutation combinations to sell. So one of the things we're trying to implement now is to have a voice-based assistant right there with them, where they can ask FAQs and they get all the answers. Basically, your complete detailed training module getting onto your cell phone. So I think you show them transparency and they'll value you. Don't show them under-preparedness and give them something else. So I think that is what we follow as a philosophy at the dealership level.
Do you think it'll all transition into this world of AI where they can just come in and see everything that they need to see?
So I think information, rather than, it making tougher for us, I have a different opinion. I think it makes it easier for us, because then both can respect each other's time, right? So you don't need to repeat many things that the customers already studied and come, right? They come for the last mile. To get the reassurance that what their inference is post their own study, they are right about it. And of course, we're able to help them as well. The physical contact with the car. So, if we go back many years, everybody said that there won't be any dealers because everything will move online. But this is a product which is bought once every 3 to 4 years, number one. Number two, it's an emotional purchase, right? You need that touch and feel. And therefore, I think the offline journey is quite critical. Coming back to your question about, is retention the issue? Because then our sales team could be different. I think it's also about the experience we're able to deliver, irrespective of the team's retention. In our case, we always say our competition is hospitality at Mercedes-Benz, right? And if we can give that kind of experience, also create the desire at the service level as well, either during test drive or during follow-up or reaching the customer. Today, in our case, 90% of our cars are sold outside the store. So only 10% are sold at the store. Rest we go out. So 97 zip codes, for example, in Delhi, Silver Arrows can reach in 45 minutes, dependent on how we are placed, right? So these are the fundamentals of customer service that we work on. And I feel that going back to information, you can create that desire for the customer to come back as well. As long as the product as a foundation continues to ignite interest.
But also, I think when we talk about, the first level of touch point with the consumer being informed, they have to be informed about competitors' products as well, right? Because people are coming in comparing.
Yeah, for reassurance, yes.
So is that part of it, that you guys have to train them on competitors' products as well?
Yes. Yeah. Before the product is being launched, even manufacturers do that. They compare the vehicles with the competitor and they give you the fact sheet. What are the things which are not there in the competitor's product, and what are the things which you have in your product? And to explain it to the customer.
Just a small point I want to add over, just look at from Big Bazaar 1+1 free offer days to now, where people say, I want to buy from Blinkit because it's under 10 minutes, right? What does it tell you? That again, I've come back to the same point. The profile of customers are saying, okay, I want things at a great price, but I want it quick, right? So it's very similar to this. When they inquire, it's about how fast you can reach out to them. And that's your first impression, right? But what is the service this brand or this dealership can provide to me when they value my time? When I gave an inquiry, they were at my doorstep, or they called me within so-and-so time, and they were professional enough. So that first impression, especially those new age customers, is the key, right? Because you win their trust there. If you lose their trust there, then you don't value my time. And then it's a difficult journey to do that. So we have seen that a lot, because 60-70% of the inquiries are now not walk-ins at all, right? These are faceless inquiries which are coming to your dealership.
But when you talk about time, it's also about deliveries, right?
Yeah.
Post-COVID, yes, of course, that's eased, but there's still waiting times. I know Mercedes has waiting times on a lot of
75%
products.
of our portfolio is on waiting.
And you've got you've got HNIs who don't really want to wait for a product. So how difficult is it to keep those customers waiting for your product when there is a massive waiting line?
So in our case, of course, as he rightly said a few minutes back, it starts with transparency. And you're aware we had kicked off this big change in the retail structure, how we operate. When we moved to something called the retail of the future, where customer transacts with Mercedes-Benz directly, but we are there in the middle to ensure that we are informing and being, giving them all information with respect to what's the status on the booking. But coming back to your question, I think that was a fundamental change that laid the foundation of transparency at Mercedes-Benz retailers, because now customer interacts directly with the brand. But during the course, so some of our brands are on a waiting list for more than a year. So what do you do, right? How do you engage with somebody who's waiting? And of course, there is a comprehensive plan behind it. The number of events as a luxury brand that we host, we make sure that anyone who's still not yet a customer but is on waiting is continuously not only updated on the production cycle, the availability, but also is engaged at the dealership level for the entire waiting period. And of course, then there is a detailed interaction that happens. And let me now come in here that for all our top-end vehicle customers, there is a key account manager that is allocated. So during your entire life cycle, you just need to speak to one person. So whether it's service, whether there's insurance, whether there is any trade-in, whether there is any reference, it's one person. So that is why I said it's hospitality more than the car industry for us. One person is what you get when you buy a Mercedes-Benz. I think that lays the foundation for the experience at the level where we want it to be.
I think, as we go forward with ICE vehicles, at least there was a lot of differentiation between cars. Moving forward with EVs, that differentiation is kind of reducing, especially as far as powertrain is concerned. Yeah, there will be differentiators as far as the way the car looks, the interiors, and maybe the range. Do you think it's going to get harder, to retain that customer and bring that customer into the showroom with such less differentiating power?
I think it also offers choice, right, in terms of power plants, whether it's ICE, within that petrol, diesel, now electric. So I think it offers choice. So I would rather look at it as an opportunity as well. Now I come from Delhi. Right now, since the last 6 weeks, there were grab measures. We couldn't do anything. There were cars that crossed a particular period that can't be on the road, right? So also as a brand and as a fraternity of auto retailers, also it's our responsibility towards the environment, towards sustainability, that we also connect with customers, explain to them that when does an electric also fit into their ownership journey as well. So I think it creates an opportunity to engage further and to probably also become a huge part in making this shift towards electric also for the consumer as well.
Yeah.
I feel it's as per compared to a ICE or a electric car, I feel it's still got a long way to go.
Yes.
It's still not settled even in countries like USA and Europe. It's a long way. Me being from Toyota, so I would say that it's like ICE, hybrid, and then electric. So hybrid is also the adoption of hybrid has been very effective and very fast. And electric is the next step, but I think India would take some time to reach that way.
I'm going to wrap it up with just one last comment from each one of you guys. Is it going to get harder to retain customers within the brand, or is it going to get easier?
It will be more challenging,
Definitely.
but I guess with every challenging times, like if you see post-COVID, when we didn't have to sell the car, people were buying the car. From there to now, when you're back to selling, you will all go through these challenges, and I guess all of us have existed as a fraternity for many, many, many years, and will continue to exist, and will add a lot of value to customers, and I'm sure that we will face it, and I think OEs are smart as well. They always keep us on our toes. So many checkpoints. People like you, and so surely. So I think we're on track to becoming one of the best markets in the world, and I'm sure it's a lot of excitement is coming up, and we're very sure, especially cities like Bangalore, we're very excited to see the EV revolution, and we are up for it.
Yeah. What about you?
I think it's obviously much more competitive than it was like a decade ago. Retaining customers is a challenging task, and especially when the number of customers are increasing, the market share. I remember a decade ago it was like out of every million, every 1,000, only 50 had cars in India. Today it's touching 150. Eventually it will touch the China figure of 250, 300. That means more customers, more dealerships, more competition, more car launches. So I think taking everything into consideration, we must technology is going to get us through with a lot of this, and obviously our team, and that will help us.
I think it's going to be a challenging part, but we need to gear up. We need to give that kind of a environment to the customer, right? Right from the sales till the service, as well as complete package. Like whatever he needs, we are there for it. Whether it's insurance, whether it's an exchange, whatever is there. So, every dealership will have, see, it's a cyclic business. If you look at automobile, it's always a cyclic business. So, in this kind of an environment, and now we are into a growth path. Everybody says that India is on a growth path. We need to look for that, and we need to give a right, environment to the customer to be there in the market.
I think I continue to maintain that while it's good for the customer, right? So many choices, but it also puts our entire fraternity and the entire industry on its toes, which is again great for the customer. We need to continue to innovate on products, make them more desirable, but most importantly, it's not only the product, but it's also a desirable customer experience that we need to make sure that all our brands at the relevant price points that we operate at, we continue to deliver that fantastic customer experience to ensure that the customers remain with the brand.
Well, there you have it. A lot of you complain, but you do hear the dealers here that their aim is to strive to give you that excellent customer experience so that you keep coming back to their showrooms. It's been enlightening to have this conversation, and I hope you've enjoyed watching it too.